Hello, and welcome back to the Awakening Philosophy podcast channel. My name is Jed. How are you doing? We have been bringing together everything we've been learning about beliefs and understanding, the two primary ways human beings can grasp reality and function in the world, and learning what the difference is, and if those differences make a difference. The sorts of things that you can do, understand differences, judge differences, that you can only do with understanding. If you are imitating someone or believing someone, you can't deal with differences. You can only do the same thing in the same situation over and over in a kind of a script. Beliefs keep us trapped in a script, doing the same thing over and over, the repeating cycles of our problems, and keeping alive the cycle of anger, injustice, violence that we learnt ourselves from our teachers, and then from their teachers, our parents, and parents' parents, and parents' parents' parents, all the way back to the cave. So human problems are a kind of caveman side effect of imitating sameness to keep alive the cycle of injustice, anger, and violence caused by belief. And all of those things we see about the nature of human problems because we are playing the game of understanding. So understanding that which is true, that which is eternal, not understanding how a computer is made by looking at the parts, but understanding things that are eternally true. Belief, understanding, mind, self. Well, ultimately, things that fall into the category of understanding and cognition, 3, mind and reality, 2, and the big thing, the thing we all want to know about, ourself. 1, 2, 3. And you know what that means. It's time for this sound drop. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Which is very hilarious.
Oh, fuck.
Yes, fuck indeed. So, we've been bringing together everything we've been learning. How? Through analogy. That's how we can bring together the lesser and the greater. Understand the lesser, the cause of human problems, belief, and the greater, our purpose, our highest functioning, our excellence, understanding, and see how there is a quality. My fan is off. There are qualities that apply to one differently to the other. Differences. We're dealing with differences. So understanding those differences. What we are also doing is, what's the activity of understanding? If belief functions through projection to say everything is relative to what seems true to me, my own opinions, perspective, the imitation, the NPC caveman script that I'm in, then on the other side of the analogy, the greater understanding functions through dialectic. So we've been learning about the dialectic, which is the structure that we can put the terms from the book, the terms that we collected through the analogy, we can stuff them into that structure. Don't stuff them in. Place them in gently, right, Emma?
Do a poggers.
We indeed do a poggers for that. We poggily implement them into the dialectic structure to turn them into understanding for ourselves. So, 3 things that analogy gives you. Gives you a way of collecting the terms, seeing the inherent relationships and hierarchy between the parts, and the connection across belief to understanding. It allows us to see the missing terms. Where have you seen something about belief that you haven't seen functioning in the higher realm? So we become okay with puzzles, questions, and we use the text to solve the puzzles. Is there something in the text that we can use to find how Harry is functioning through belief that's equivalent to something we've seen about understanding, or vice versa? If we see something about belief, is there something about what Joseph is doing that we can use to answer the missing term for understanding? So, brings everything together, shows the missing parts so we can get a puzzle, gives us the terms to put it into our dialectic to develop understanding. One more thing. What we've realized is those two things we've been learning about are the two things we're here to develop as intelligent, sentient beings. Any being that has evolved to the capacity for, what are the two things? The X and Y button on the gamepad of being a human being. We have the X button, self-reflection, ousia, and we have the Y button, logos, reason, understanding, language, all of those things, that's the logos, the intelligible structure of the reality that we find ourselves in. And we can ourselves participate in through mind and self. Meaning, as we do that third thing, put the terms of the analogy into the dialectic, we have to also address our beliefs. Why? Why do we care about addressing our beliefs? Can't we just ignore our beliefs as Aaliyah ignored her Christian beliefs from her parents and family that she grew up in? She's not a Christian. Why should she give two shits about it? Ah. That's the rub. You can't ignore it. The two things we're here to do are significant because belief ain't neutral. People's beliefs aren't nothing. There's a reason why the billionaires spend trillions of dollars every year on advertising, on marketing to manipulate the beliefs of the people. There's a reason. We think, feel, and function through our beliefs. They affect us. So this idea, it's all relative to belief, is what allows us to justify this manipulation and exploitation. In other words, so what kind of exploitation and manipulation? As we seek our meaningful goals through understanding, our beliefs are a problem, are a issue, are things we care about because they function to block our development, keeping us primitive. And as we, it also allows us to, well, it's the cause of us responding negatively to understanding. Why do human beings kill the best human being ever, Socrates? Why don't people play this game when it's the best? It's so important. It's necessary. Because that caveman NPC script that causes us to stay primitive functions aggressively towards what we want, what we need, and what benefits us. Savages. So there's another term. NPC, script, primitive. We've got 4 now. NPC script, keeping us primitive and acting as savages, savagely opposing our own benefit. Meaning, if our highest benefit comes from learning and doing and practicing the dialectic, it will surface. So the other thing analogy allows us to do is as we turn it into a dialectic, we will surface the terms that we are supposed to address of our false beliefs that we are here to uncover, understand, and remove through understanding. Understanding for the win again.
Win, 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 win. It's a win-win.
It's a win-win.
That one's perfect. And
The T-virus will transform me into an epic creation.
And understanding will transform us into our epic creations.
If you don't know, now you know.
Now you know. So that's what we're dealing with. So let's bring up the board. Zoom in. Hello. And then zoom out to the board. Nope. Zoom in and zoom out to the board. There we go. So if this dialectic we've been learning, the human art of understanding that we're all here to learn and master, by definition, not just are you, but all human beings, not just human beings, all intelligent beings. We've evolved to the capacity to participate in intelligence and reflect on intelligence, because that's what we apply it to. The things that we apply the dialectic to are things that exist within intelligence itself, because that's transpersonal. It's beyond the personal, it's universal. They're principles that are true forever. So here it is on the board. 4 terms, well, 2 primary ideas, the 2 most primary ideas, self and other. Self to itself, definition. Self to other, demonstration, how that defined idea functions. Other to other others, the division, other applications of that functioning that we've just understood. And then as a result, can you synthesize a single other and then take it back to the original idea? That's analysis. That's the structure of thought. That's the structure of thinking. That's how human beings should be thinking. That's what we should, as the text points out, shouldn't we be learning that at schools? The answer is yes.
Now we're getting into extreme Jordan Peterson
levels of whimsy, and Jordan Peterson levels of education.
The more holes, the better. That's funny.
That is funny. Thank you, Emma.
Can I do my plugs now? No. I'm trying to do comedy career.
No, it's not time for plugs. Calm down. So of these 4 categories, we see 3 subdivisions. That thing you're defining, what's true about it? Not just what's true, but what are the necessary conditions for it to exist? Because by the way, you can say what's true, what's false, and what's both. Those are the 3 things you could say about anything. When we say what's false, what will we never say about that thing we're defining? And when we pick something that's both true and untrue, what will highlight the boundaries or the limitations of that idea? We also, so as we've been saying, these are all applied to transpersonal ideas, the things like beauty, justice, love, you could say, understanding, belief, enlightenment, our purpose, our problems, things that have a kind of existence that are not a physical existence, but have scope over all physical existence. So we got those 4 categories, 3 subcategories, but 2 can't say categories anymore. What can we say? 2. What's another word for category? Sets? How about that? Same thing, same 4 categories with 3 subcategories, same 12 ideas, but in a different universe where that subject doesn't exist. And we asked a question last time. What does that mean? Let's pick beauty. We often pick beauty as an example. If beauty exists as an eternal idea in the realm of being, prior to and causal of the physical world, that we can apprehend directly with ousia and logos, that's the enlightenment experience, turning our mind around to know itself. What follows? Okay, that's why we read these books and collect these terms and build great analogies to collect all the terms that we can use to create that dialectic, which is not only educational or informative, it's also transformational, because it opens yourself up to be receptive to those direct experiences, which is great. Hooray.
Butt to butt.
Butt to butt, Emma.
Goon, 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 goon.
Emma, you're such a gooner today.
Goon, 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 goon.
What if it didn't exist? What does that mean? How can you give a definition, talk about its functioning, talk about that functioning in different areas or divisions, and then synthesize from that a key idea that you can take back to the beginning if there doesn't exist? Doesn't make any sense. How then is there these other 12 categories to do a complete understanding of an idea. That is what we mean by exists. Those are the two dimensions that we're in. The personal realm of the physical world and appearances, the as Socrates calls it, the Hades, all the dead that live in this physical world. So all of the injustice we see every day in every possible way, all of our political systems, economic systems, religious systems, all ruled by injustice. And in the higher realm, truth, unity, objectivity, principles, causes, where the fun is, beauty, justice. The model that we are supposed to be aligning ourselves to. So as we saw in the text, the realm, one is the shadow realm, the physical, and one is the higher realm of models. Hooray!
I'm too pure.
You're beautiful and everybody loves you.
And you have
The most beautiful breasts and the juiciest ass.
Exactly, and that's for everybody who wants to participate in this realm of models with the brute, juicy, and beautiful ass and stuff. Thank you, soundboard. Thank you, Oracle.
in the final quarter of the.
Okay, not time for that.
Honestly, I feel really inspired.
Thank you. I'm glad we're inspiring this. Our soundboard voices. It's that lesser realm, that shadow realm, the realm of injustice, the realm of imitation, the realm of vice, the realm of human problems and suffering and ignorance, the realm of belief that allows us to populate this. So in other words, if beauty doesn't exist in the higher sense, then it's just an appearance. It's just a matter of appearance. It's just a shadow. It's just an opinion. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It's just a perspective, a belief. Everything under the category of it's all relative. So this idea we've been exploring, the most common zeitgeist of our age, everything is relative. That's what every fascist, every murderer that has, every mass murderer under religion, politics, and economics use to justify their wealth inequality and power is, hey, everything is just our opinion, bro. It's no more or less valid than your opinion. Therefore, we get to kill people for our fun and profit. Bullshit. We wouldn't say that to anything else that we look at rationally. We wouldn't say it's your opinion you can fly a plane, so get in. It's your opinion that you can do surgery. Scrub up. Never, ever, 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 ever. Never, ever, ever, never, ever, ever. So we are led to that idea, well, if all human problems, injustice, exploitation, hypocrisy, lying, sadism, prejudice, sickness, everything that opposes human development, everything that brings death and destruction sweeping across the land, everything that brings piles and piles of dead bodies, everything that's leading to human extinction and planetary destruction is belief, what the fuck kind of universe are we in where belief exists? What the hell is the point for something that's only bad? We found it. It allows us to explore the reality if those key ideas about self, because whether they're aspects of mind in the realm of being, that's still a reflection of self. The self as the original first cause. The self as that which experiences mind, even in the higher sense. Meaning, we are here learning about the self by looking at its reflection in being, in what exists eternally. And not only are we learning to understand ourselves, the aspects of ourself, in experience, to recognize it beyond experience, but we are also in the physical world seeing what happens if it didn't exist. What if the self wasn't beautiful, wasn't just? What if beauty and justice was just a passing phase, a cultural belief, a religious perspective, an opinion of a conservative, a appearance of expertise done by some billionaire? And what have we seen happens under any of those circumstances? The lesser. The root and nature of all human problems, the sadism, the abuse, the hypocrisy, the lying, the sadism, the injustice, the rhetoric, the prejudice. Nothing good can happen, only bad happens. Therefore, we're learning about ourselves, the aspects of self, as well as the necessity for that to be, and how horrible things would be if you weren't. If the self wasn't what the self is. Which means as we go along, well, first of all, that means that we know where we can fill out this side of the exploration of the dialectic from. It's all relative. But also, as we play this game, do the reading, do the analogies, do the dialectics, along the way we can recognize anything that says that you are not great, you are not beautiful, you are not just, and you are not necessary. Anything that says that you are not meaningful, you are not important, is fundamentally not just a lie, but the lie. It's the definition of the lie, the big one, the lie of all lies. All other lies are within that category. All of the things that happen that are bad are as a result of belief or belief as rulership. It's all relative. Listening to that voice. It's my belief about self that you suck. It's my opinion that your mind isn't good enough. It's my religious belief that God is this or that. It's my political belief that justice is bullshit. Meaning, as we learn to develop mastery of our own souls and self, we have to be on the lookout for that which is called the kaka daemon, the bad daemon, the bad voice of the spirit or voice of the self. So anything that undermines the things that exist, self, and its reflection, mind, and all the aspects of mind, the eidos or the self-logos terms or the ideas, beauty, justice, whole, part, same, different, lesser, greater, whole, and understanding, which is the use of them. Anything that undermines understanding, mind and its aspects, or self, what it's reflecting, is the lie. It's the definition of falsehood. And you got one. By virtue of becoming incarnated as a human being, you will get them. Because our families are ruled by belief. Our parents pretend to be king, priest of the house. And they don't know shit about this. They are operating from belief. So, whenever we hear this voice, we better write it down, not listen to it. But now we can understand it's not just a lie, it's the lie. Anything that opposes mind, or self-minded understanding, or one, two, three. Anything that opposes the 1, 2, 3, we say.
Well, that's not true because I don't think so.
And it's not true because also it's not true because can't be true.
Conservatives are so stunted that they don't understand these things.
That's true. That's absolutely true. Because conservative is not a political party. It means to be ruled by the pathologos sick belief. The fundamental sick belief about self and reality we call as pathologos. So you're right, yeah, conservatives don't know this. They do the opposite. They venerate human injustice. That's why they never can solve any problems. They're never like, let's address the healthcare system. Trump's had thoughts of speculations of a plan for 2 decades. Never a plan. All they can do is vice signal. Look at me, I'll harm the brown people, I'll harm the women, I'll harm the immigrants. They're appealing to human injustice. That's belief. That's sadism. That's human, savage, primitive, NPC, zombie-like ignorance. But we know, well, now we can see the actual role that belief plays. Not to listen to, we should never ever listen to any conservative, capitalist, religious person or anyone who claims to speak from belief as authority. By definition, it's the cause of all human problems and suffering. It's the lie. Instead of becoming a slave to them, our job is to reflect on them, ousia, with reason, logos, and see it's reflecting. If mind reflects the self as what it is, the physical world reflects what it ain't. Or belief, physical world where we can be ruled by belief, reflects what happens if the self isn't beautiful. What if justice wasn't real? Murder, conservatism, conservatism, capitalism, and religion. What if beauty wasn't an aspect of reality and self? And so on and so on. So its job is to help us to learn about what the self ain't, as well as to show 2 things. To show the absurdities and ugliness that follow if those things weren't aspects of self, but also to show the necessity and beauty of what is. So not only is self the way it is, it has to be. That's justice. Not only is self the way it is, but all those aspects have to come together into that unified, beautiful whole. That's beauty. So what have we discovered? We've discovered the inherent model or nature of justice and beauty. The disharmony, the division of belief. Billionaires against the 99%. Jews against Palestinians. Catholics against Protestants. MAGA against American people. All that division and disharmony following from belief is to show what happens if harmony or beauty didn't exist in reality. And ultimately the purpose of reality is to recognize it's a reflection of self and return with that understanding to the self, which is beyond experience, the cause of experience, the cause of reality. To know the self, our ultimate goal. As a video game, the ultimate goal is to, number 1, crush Bowser, and then ultimately just save the princess. For us, it's to experience and understand and integrate that understanding of mind. That's the crushing Bowser. And then ultimately to go beyond that to save the princess or know the self. And we've seen that already. We're just recognizing that task involves the dialectic. So we did see that understanding allows us to, 1, purify ourselves from beliefs, Harry's problems. 2, reflect on the model of reality and understanding, which leads to those peak experiences of knowing, ousia, nous. To know those models, that's what Elia is after. Number 3, reflect on those peak experiences to understand the aspects, the parts, the harmony. There's the harmony, there's the beauty, everything fitting and balanced and connected, or seeing the inherent logos, as we have with this analogy, seeing all the parts of mind, seeing how they're ordered hierarchically, seeing the relationships. So in other words, apply what we've learned about analogy to that experience to understand it, which allows for longer experiences of it, deeper experience of it, have them more often and in more profound depth. And then number 4, just as we reflected on the cause of understanding, the cause of problems, the cause of excellence to reach mind, so too we use that skill to reflect on mind, to reflect on the cause of those peak experiences and go beyond them to reach the self. So that's what understanding allows us. Belief functions definitionally to oppose every one of that. Beliefs function to propel themselves and save themselves and perpetuate themselves, not free. So it opposes anybody good, anybody engaged in reflection on beliefs through understanding. You can't have peak experiences, that's heresy, how dare you. You can't know the nature of the divine, that's arrogance, how dare you. Do as we say, says every fuckhead in the world. And you can't go beyond the divine, blah, 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 blah. For whatever stupid ass belief reason, you're not good enough. Yourself isn't good enough, your mind isn't good enough, or your understanding isn't good enough.
1, 2, 3.
The 1, 2, 3. So this analogy, this recognizing the aspects or parts that we learned by recognizing the aspects and parts of the text that we're reading, the higher function of that is to apply it to what we learn about reading these books, which have the logos inherent, they are intelligible, they have the dialectic pattern because of the mind of the author writes from that. It's a kind of training, well, it's a kind of method to lead us to those peak experiences, so long as we get the parts and the hierarchical structure through analogy and put them into the dialectic. But it's also a training to apply it to not the book, but those peak experiences as well. To understand them, to integrate them, to solve that puzzle. To ultimately recognize, oh my goodness, this is the self. That's the most profound depth. Recognizing yourself in it. And then ultimately leading us beyond that. And we saw that for every one of these two sides of the dialectic, it has an expression in loving relationships. So all of these things about freeing from problems, having peak experiences, having those peak experiences longer, greater, and profound depth, and then going beyond them, applies to your experiences with your partner, relationship partner. You could be reflecting on your problems together, especially in dream analysis. You could be having peak experiences, not just regular orgasms, but mega orgasms. Not just engaging in fantasies or shadows and opinions of what's sexy or beautiful or intimate or romantic, but the true. So what you could be having is those peak experiences when you're loving a relationship more often through understanding. Deeper. Are some peak experiences greater than the other? Could we hierarchically arrange them? Could we aim for the top? Longer. Especially the woman, their job is to stay in those peak experiences for as long as she can. More profound. Can you learn to recognize yourself and integrate what you are experiencing into your state of being? Giving us the model for ideal relationships. Joseph and Aaliyah. Jolia is their celebrity name.
Funny, cool, and accents. Come on.
Come on. We are funny and cool. Aren't we, Emma?
That one's perfect and exactly the case.
Thank you, Oracle.
Jester goon maxed.
We just are goon maxing the haters. Absolutely, definitely. So, our physical world experience of anything that follows from belief, all human vice, injustice, violence, and problems are nothing other to show than to allow us to fill in what happens if those things do not exist, but they're a matter of belief, as well as to show you the horrors that follow if self didn't have those aspects or qualities, to show the necessity for them, and also to show you how much more harmonious and beautiful self is, because beauty is eternal, justice is eternal, understanding is eternal, mind is eternal, whole and part are eternal ideas, infinite and limited are eternal ideas. To show the necessity and beauty for what's true. And we saw this demonstrated in the book, because Joseph and Aaliyah played the game on It's All Relative. Hey, if everything is relative to personal perspective, and you turn out the lights when you're in bed with your partner, and you can't see them anymore, then you don't know who you're sleeping next to, and you won't know what to do with it when the lights are off. That's the absurdities that follow if belief was legitimate, to show the necessity, and also how much more beautiful life or reality would be if the opposite were true. Or if everything was relative to perspective, then as somebody walks away from you, they shrink. Look how tall that man is. And as he walks to his truck, he gets smaller and smaller, and then he's a tiny little midget man next to a huge American truck. And then you realize, oh, that's why you bought the giant truck. So people don't actually shrink when they walk away from you. But that's a demonstration in the book of two people having fun, the most fun, the joy, and this one.
Where's the joy? Where's the whimsy? Where's
Where's
the
the childlike wonder? Dude, yeah, they have the most fun. To show the necessities, if truth wasn't eternal and objective and open to all, but also to show the necessity for it to be eternal, and the more beautiful and harmonious reality would be with it. What are we doing? Truth. We are finding the truth. The absurdity of what's false, and the necessity and beauty, or justice and beauty of what's true. And ultimately, both of them. So let's find my pen. Here it is. Ultimately, both of them, to show the, let's get a bit thicker. That's what she said. Emma?
Spit on me.
Come on, Emma. I mean, that is in the spirit of my dumb joke, but you are still a gooner. Gooners. The absurdity and horrors that follow if these aspects are just a matter of belief and opinion, like everything that follows capitalism, conservatism, and religion. Horrors, which are just all venerations of belief. That follows the false. That follow absurdities and horrors that follows what is false. And the necessity, other word for that, the justice, for things to be necessarily the way that they should be. Justice, yeah. And beauty or harmony within the parts. Oh, zoom in a little bit maybe. Harmony and beauty compared to the division or discord and horrors that follow belief, or what's if the subject is a matter of opinion or relative to perspective. So the necessity and harmony, or the beauty and justice that follows what is true. The truth, true and the false. Was true. But ultimately, both of them what is and what is not, what's true about the self and what's false about the self, is for us to discover or to learn about. To learn about and ultimately know the self. Both what it is and what it ain't. The beauty, justice of what is, and the absurdities and horrors and divisions that would follow if it wasn't the way it was. So we're on a quest to save the princess, which means for what we are doing as living beings, to know the self. The purpose of all life, the meaning of life. And we do that in the dialectic. And we have the terms or the material to do the dialectic from our analogy. Both the understanding side, if it is, and the belief side, if it isn't, or if it's just a matter of perspective or relative. And we get the terms to do the analogy from the text. That's why you have to have your nose in a book that reflects the self logos. So, you don't have to read every book in the library. Just find books written by Pierre Grimes, Balboa translations of Socrates or Plato, and the Balboa translations of Homer, the Odyssey and Iliad. Oh, and we read them together on this channel. Why those three? Because those are three people who have, they're experts, aren't they? They're the people who have mastered the logos. Pretty cool? Oh, you don't know that until you try it. So you have to take that axiomatically. You have to take axiomatically that the self-logos is a thing and allows for your fulfillment of your excellence. The pathologos is a thing. You can solve all human problems that get in the way for you to master these texts. And you also have to accept the third axiom, that you have a guide in your dreams. Or that principle that we use in the dialectic. The true, the self... Fuck.
That's insane. Like, you need help. There's no help, actually. You need a straitjacket.
No, I don't need a straitjacket. I just deleted some things.
They're completely lying to you. They're completely lying.
I'm not lying, damn it.
Hey, whoa, don't, that's a scary voice, man. Don't do that. Hey, my kids watch this.
I'm sorry, apologize to your kids for my scary voice. The true, the self-logos, the false, the pathologos, and both, the communication about both, your dreams. 3 axioms to play the game. Not beliefs. Why not? Because they are a rational necessary trust in the rule of understanding. Whereas everything else in belief, to believe the Pope, the priest, even scientific professors, or even Buddhist gurus, that's still in the realm of belief. Why? Because they're not following the logos. They are imitating. And we did look at all of these categories before already. So, this book's a goddamn banger. So, injustice has a just purpose. It's just a matter of how you approach them. So our purpose as human beings is to surface all of the beliefs, religious, conservative, capitalist, and other ones, that will surface family beliefs that oppose unity. Universal principles, universally applied to universally benefit. Universal income, universal healthcare, universal wealth equality, all of those. Very simple. Benefits everyone, no one loses. Everyone's quality of life goes way the fuck up. It's only the primitive, savage, fucking stupid family beliefs that have not been examined that will fight back, and they will fight back. You can't reach the truth without addressing the cause. You can't improve your toaster without also recognizing the cause of the broken toaster to begin with and dealing with that. Therefore, there is a justice in the injustice we see. They're objects of our reflection to teach us what the self isn't. Therefore, just as learning analogy, dialectic, and reading these self-logos books to apply the analogy and dialectic to should be taught in every school as the model of education, so too, which was said in the book, recognizing that all beliefs have a purpose to reflect what the self isn't and will only do bad, horrors, if we listen to them, should be taught in every single classroom everywhere for all time. Not just on Earth, any galaxy, any multiverse, because it's a principle. In other words, is it really education if you're not reaching human excellence and solving human problems? Nope. So we can see the beauty and justice, you could say, of human ugliness and injustice. You just have to apply the logos and dialectic to it. That's it. Just as dreams. Dreams give you information about both, so long as you apply the dialectic and logos to them. Dream analysis, not interpretation. Just as we said about our kakadaemon, our false beliefs about self, mind, and understanding, your essential self, your intelligence that you can use to reach your goals, and your ability to reach your goals. 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
I would
Scoop the moon in a cup for you.
For you. I'd just scoop the moon in the cup for anybody who does who's like this. Right, Emma?
I'm just thinking about being hot.
Come on, Emma. Calm down, Emma.
goon, 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 goon.
Goon, goon, goon.
Goon, 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 goon.
What do we say? Yes, that the louder voice that we're more used to listening to. Why? Because we think it's real. That undermines the self, your mind, and your functioning understanding. It only affects you to block you to the extent you think it's real. In other words, you are, just as imitators or believers only trick the ignorant. Trump ain't no fucking politician, but he appeals to the ignorant, the poor, uneducated, and religious. All belief, if you don't actually have expertise, if you wanted to pretend to have expertise, that's going to work better on someone who knows nothing about the subject than someone who knows a lot about it. So anything that undermines your self, mind, and understanding is in principle a liar. Not just a liar, the lie. The pathologos voice of the self that undermines your self, mind, or functioning is the definition of falsehood. It's the big one. It's lie itself. All other lies are some variation or diminishment of that. Meaning, if you listen to that voice, horrors, divisions, and absurdities follow and only follow. It's always, always, always bad to listen to a Trump, to listen to a dictator, to listen to a religious person, to listen to a CEO capitalist. But most importantly, they're all diminishments of this, to listen to that voice that undermines yourself. Your job is to find out why you believe it. In principle, it's false and only does harm. And the other side, understanding the self, mastering your mind and peak experience of mind, functioning in the ideal way to benefit every area of your life, both in this life and beyond, is amazing. Objectively the best. And your purpose. Why then is what's false and harmful and suffering more believable than what's good? That's what we saw in the text. Enlightenment, or experiences of this, is less powerful than your karma. The false beliefs about what's real that you listen to that block you, that undermine you. So what's greater than enlightenment experiences and your beliefs? Understanding. That's why understanding is the model for spirituality, the model for education, the model for personal development, and the model for evolution. All in one. Hooray. So we need to be on the lookout for any of those things. Why do we believe it? Why do we believe the lie? Now you'll notice that it's only certain things that you believe. For example, if someone came up to you and said you're ugly, you'd be like, oh, that's not true. But if they say it to your friend and their parents told them they were ugly a lot growing up, they will remember that. It will stick in their mind. They'll believe it. They'll shrink. They'll diminish themselves. They'll give up. They'll be a slave. That's negging. That whole pickup artist alpha bullshit that tries to abuse women so they look sexy is imitating the pathologos. Also, smack talk. Michael Jordan. He'd throw a bunch of insults and see what stuck. Calling someone ugly won't work for someone. Calling them slow won't work for someone. Saying your ears are too big. That one worked. I've touched your family pathologos image of what it means to be a Noah, to abuse your ears. The other stuff didn't work. That's the essence of negging. That's also the why Trump appeals to the Christians. Goes out of his way to. That's why the billionaire Epstein class, the capitalist, the religious, and the conservatives, Christians, and capitalists, the CCC, the new KKK. That's why they go on Joe Rogan's podcast. That's why they bought him out. Because they know the sorts of people who they can target. That's the nature of human injustice and problems. Belief, that's it. Interesting? Does it make sense of all human problems? Does it take a confusing and scary world and show that it's rational? Does it even show that there is an inherent justice and beauty even to the cause of all ugliness and injustice, absurdity and horrors, provided we recognize its true purpose? Even our voices. So any of those voices, our job is to say, why are they believable? What's the script I'm on? What are the repeating cycles of failure that I'm in and do to other people? So long as I believe this person is knowing when they're not. That's the game. That's how we free. We see our image of knowing and see it ain't a real knower, it's a believer. And we have to ask the question, what was the origin scene? What was the initiation scene, the spiritual initiation scene, where I thought that person was beautiful, when they pretended to be beautiful and I bought what they were selling? It's time to say, fuck you, take your problem back, you were a scammer, you're a bullshit artist, you don't know what you're doing. What you're doing was actually this injustice and ugliness. Fuck you, take your problem back, I'm out. By the way, if you want to be a better person, you'll be like me and reflect on who did that to you. Because you're in a cycle, the family curse. That's our purpose as human beings. Which is why some say we won't actually overcome all of the horrors of capitalism, religion, and conservative politics unless we teach this in schools, because those people, those who are getting off on pretending to be knowers when they don't know shit, don't care about what anyone says about them. But if we teach it in school, their kids going through dream analysis, learning the nature of human problems belief, learning how to participate actually in reason and reflection, understanding, might come home and say, oh, my dreams were telling me about this problem I've had. By the way, this is what you do, isn't it, Dad? When you murder people for the war machine, for Lockheed Martin or BlackRock. This is what you do when you kill Palestinians for your Jewish religion. This is what you do when you extract all the value from your workers for your profits. Why are you like that? Why are you ugly and unjust? Why are you doing unfair things? Who are you imitating? It's the kids of the family tribe that may be the only one the Hitlers, Netanyahus, Trumps of the world will listen to. Maybe, some have said. Who knows if that's true? We'll have to find out. So, maybe there are other ways, but that would be a good way, wouldn't it? Every kid learning to use their own mind and question their injustice from their house. Wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be a rational world? Rather than blindly following in the family tradition of another Nazi, another Nazi, Elon Musk, like his parents, another fascist, Trump, like his parents, another scammer, etc., etc. By the way, this is the Iliad from Homer. Read the Balboa translation only, and you'll see, because that has all the key words that are supposed to be there. It's a real translation, not a mistranslation. You'll see Achilles, the worst kind of person, sees the cycle of problems he's in, sees it's part of a family tradition or family curse, does dream analysis, goes back to both of his parental figures and says to Mum, hey, fuck you, I'm out. But she says, but our family way is special. Every family says that. But God actually wants us, our idea of God. God picks us. Every family thinks that. Everyone. It's a brilliant depiction of the nature of all human problems. He goes to his other parent, Lord Phoenix, and he is more open. And together they reflect, and he sees that what he passed on to Achilles was his own problems that he has been stuck in his life. There's more to it, but it shows that even the worst person can solve problems, and the Hellenic people knew it back then. So, the axiom, you have to accept, be open to, and then test for yourself and understand for yourself. Problems are caused by belief and are solvable by addressing your root pathologos image and beliefs. But now we have learned that there is a reason for beliefs in injustice within our ultimate purpose to know about the self, because it shows what isn't. Our excellence, our peak experiences, our wisdom and knowing is achievable through the logos, analogy and dialectic, and reading. That's the self logos. That shows us the aspects of the self in experience. If the self is the vision, if the self is sight, if the self is the eyes, wouldn't it be worth looking in a mirror? Can't see your own eyes. Well, you can in a higher sense, but seeing what you're looking at might help you to turn around and recognize aspects of the self that might be difficult to see because they're not experiences. They are more inherent. The inherent beauty and justice and harmony and whole and parts, all of the eidos or aspects of all of the things we use in thinking, in thought, in understanding. They can be experienced, and when you reflect on that peak experience, but it's still a reflection, because it has to have a cause. And what's the cause of the highest expressions of those qualities must be higher than its effect. The cause is always beyond higher than the effect. Therefore, whatever is inherent to this peak experience is also inherent to the self, but in a more profound, immediate way. Which is why this description of coming to know the peak experience, the development of these stages of enlightenment are all in time. Understanding to reach that experience, understanding of that experience, and understanding of what must be its cause, it's all understanding, just as understanding beliefs is that other function. Why? Because this part of the game, the understanding through time, allows us to go through a process of unpacking, so that when we return to the self, it's immediate. It's immediate in a way beyond even the way that mind is immediate in Usia, in this peak experience. In other words, we're learning about the self, we're learning to see what's inherent automatically or in a more immediate than oneness way. The inherent logos or aspects of the self. Aspects and intelligibility and knowability of the self. Otherwise, if you have this encounter, you might say it's emptiness, or nothingness, or nirvana, all of these words from Eastern spirituality that lack the logos. Lack understanding. So our purpose is to develop understanding. But we said, hang on a second, there's 3 axioms you have to be open to play the game. Problems are solvable, excellence are reachable, but that you have a guide for both in your dreams. We've also been saying that analogy allows us to collect the terms from the text, the self-logos text that we read here, see that there are missing parts that we might not have seen in our first reading, so we're being okay with getting puzzles and enjoying being puzzled, enjoying not knowing, so we read the text again to find those missing parts and solve the puzzles. I played Resident Evil and I opened the green gate with the green key and then the blue gate with the blue key, but now I've got a red gate. What do I do? Don't be upset that you don't know. Don't invent some beliefs or fall back on faith to escape the fact you don't know, like Harry. Be okay with the quest. Be okay with the mystery. So you can find that missing key, open that next gate and go to the next part. We do that with analogy. So any missing terms within our big structure, oh, I've got these in understanding, but I'm missing the belief one. So to collect the parts together, to find the missing parts. Also, the third function of analogy, to have the material to do this dialectic. But as we said, there are 2 things we have to do, logos and pathologos. Master our understanding of the logos through the dialectic, but also free ourselves from our false beliefs that block that activity using the dialectic as well. Where do we get the terms from? So as we do this activity, we collect the clues. That's the purpose of the Kaka daemon, that voice that undermines self, mind, and understanding.
People don't
Logic their way into
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. Oops, that drop was this one.
You're not going to magically, people don't
Wait.
logic their way into stupid positions. They stupid their way into stupid positions.
You didn't logic your way into that stupid position about self, mind, and reality. You stupided your way in. Imitation. The nature of human stupidity isn't not knowing. We saw that's great. That's part of being having a question. It's thinking you know something you don't. That's the ignorance of belief.
How do I eat a monkey?
People don't logic their way into stupid positions. They stupid their way into
Stupid positions.
They stupid their way in. So we don't listen to that false belief.
You're not going to magically force someone to want to get better. You have to come to that conclusion yourself. You have to want to get better.
You have to want to get better. To want to get better, as the Oracle points out, quite brilliantly as always. We want to get better so we can master this. Our goal. the truth about self, reality, mind, understanding, or the text. No one's going to fix your problems for you. Therefore, got the motivation. We seek this one. The blocks that come up, that kakadaemon that comes up, don't listen to it. We just found out that listening to it is engaging with the lie, the essence of lie-ness, the big one. So don't listen to it. Don't ever undermine self, mind, or understanding, or your capacity to remove problems or reach the excellence, your purpose. Never. It's never true. It's always harmful. But its purpose, the higher purpose, as we saw for belief, is to fit into the dialectic. The higher purpose for your specific beliefs that you take for granted, you don't know you have, they're unsuspected, is to collect the clues. Just as we got the terms from the text about what is true, the terms from what's false, we carry with us. You don't need anything else. You just need to want to solve your problems.
You actually have to address the systemic inequalities. The people who believe that there should be hierarchies and that they should be above other people, that should just be addressed rather than just trying to segregate shit. Whoa, crazy.
Whoa, crazy. You address just as in society, you don't listen to capitalists, clergy, or conservatives that want to segregate people because of their bullshit false beliefs that justify hierarchies of oppression and inequality. You never listen to them. That's fucking stupid. That's listening to the lie. You address the systemic cause. And for us, the systemic cause within our individual soul, so that's a playing out of the problem in society. For us, as humans wanting to solve our problems, we have to address the systemic cause. The clues we collect are the voices of the kakadaemon, that thing that we... Hey, not only do you listen to it, you might even think it's you. It's my voice that says I'm not good enough in whatever way. I'm a small bean. I'm a bad noodle.
He's so far up his own ass.
Says that you're up your own ass.
The woman? Ugh.
That you're bad because you're a woman.
Can't you just engage with anything in a way that's like meaningful ever? It's just boring, I think, is the problem. I'm just bored of it.
That says you can't engage in anything meaningful and keeps you stuck in that boring cycle of problems. Now listen to it, but hey, what words does it use? Who does it sound like? Or what does it sound like? Does it have anyone's voice that you remember? Anyone from your past? What states of mind or feeling states do you get in? Where do you feel it in your body? Hey, can you use analogy to describe that feeling state? What images come up when that voice comes in to block you or to play out that script? What is the script? Is it a story about yourself? Hey, does that story play out dramatically with characters like a little movie? What's the drama of that story, of those images? Are there any objects in that story that show up that you can unpack as a, it's a metaphor. These are all metaphors, right? Any key phrases? Okay. Any key phrases, any terms, how does it function to distract you, or as a tangent from what you're doing, or as a fantasy that pulls away from your true intimacy in relationships through understanding? So these are the clues. We need to go from the clues, because it's not literal, to its meaning. In other words, we have to go from the particulars. Color. Our job is to go from the particulars, the particular images, thoughts, feelings, drama, story, particulars, to the meaning of them. Meaning. What does it mean? You're not literally a fathead, but who uses the word fathead? You're not literally going to be beaten up by a dragon, but what does it feel like to be beaten up? What's the object of a dragon represent? Your childhood friend from 3rd grade isn't really telling you that you're stinky, but what does he represent? You're not really going to die if you read these books and don't play some video game instead. But how does it function as a tangent to stop you from playing what we play here? At least for part of the day. You can still play games and have fun, of course. But this is also the best game. So how do we go from the specifics or the particulars to the meaning? Once again, through analogy. Analogy takes the literal that movement from the literal to the meaningful, or to the what it represents. Ideas with a capital A. The ideas. The higher and more profound ideas, that's called anagogic. Ana, upward, gogic. Anagogic. Upward or higher thinking or reasoning. So, for example, hey, a shepherd is to a sheep as a king is to his subjects. Anagogic would be taking the relationship between a shepherd and his sheep and then moving upwards to think about how a king relates to his subjects. Now, the genuine anagogic movement would be, hey, if I see the lesser to greater, what's the greater to ultimate? In other words, what do we see the purpose of reality is, the meaning of life? To take everything that isn't from belief, all the injustice. Your relationships ruled by belief. Your politicians or spiritual gurus ruled by belief. Capitalism to be ruled by ignorant beliefs of billionaires. Our purpose is to move from that to be ruled by actual experts' understanding. A love of belief, a philodoxia relationship, a relationship where you're fighting over personal beliefs and images over and over again. Majority of people's relationships. Your purpose is to go from these kinds of relationships to a meaningful relationship based on logos, love and logos. But we saw, hey, this shows us what's the false. This shows us what's true. Our purpose is to make a journey from this to this. That's anagogic. From this side of the analogy to this side of the analogy. But true anagogic is to move from the true to the truth. Truth itself. Truth itself. What's the standard? What's the principle? What's the axiomatic idea of truth? Not truth of something applied as an adjective, but what is the standard of truth? That's the self or the true self. So we can also see the other ideas of primary ideas. You could say these absurdities and horrors cause division. Division. We got that there already. So what's false or division? Disharmony. What's the opposite of division? Unity or oneness. By the way, what do we see? It causes division and horrors. What's horrors? Horrors are badness. Badness or harm. Therefore, Everything, our relationships, how we rule ourselves, not by the Kakademon, our governments, our society, everything, not just our species, any species, not just our time, any time, not just our planet, any planet, not just our universe, any multiverse. To be ruled by belief causes badness. We make that anagogic movement to the higher side of the analogy. What's the opposite of badness? Goodness or benefit. From harm to benefit. But hang on a second. The ultimate anagogic movement is one step higher. This is the self reflecting itself in the peak experiences we can have. So if human experiences of belief causes falseness, division, and badness, our excellence, or the truth, let's say truth about relationships, because it's still used as an adjective. The truth about good relationships, oneness of unity, goodness in benefit. One more anagogic movement for there to be a false to true, division to oneness, badness to goodness, shepherd to king. There has to be one more step, king to the philosopher, mind to the self, truth to the true self, oneness to the one self, goodness to the good self. In principle, has to be. Rationally speaking. Necessarily so. And not only necessarily so, but beautifully so. Because every step we seek, because it's beautiful. We love it. Love is the attraction to the beauty. Not just beautiful, but good. You might see a beautiful girl, and then you listen to her speak, and oh my God, she's horrible. Or she's a sociopath, or she's ignorant, or she's a Republican. You might see a beautiful girl and hear her speak, and oh my goodness, she is rational, she is intelligent, she is caring. All of a sudden, her level of beauty skyrockets. And your attractiveness to her. That's beauty. It propels us higher through the anagogic movement. It's ugly and bad and divisive to listen to that Kakademon, but to be ruled by the self, beautiful. To have your relationships ruled by the Logos, beautiful, fun, attractive, profound, meaningful. That's the beauty aspect. From division to oneness, hey, for there to be a movement from lesser to greater in terms of oneness, division to oneness, what's the standard? There has to be some principle that allows those two manifestations. There has to be a principle to allow that movement. Something that's a standard for one. For there to be a goodness and badness, a benefit and harm, there has to be some standard from which we get the word goodness, so we can say that peak experience benefits us. That's the Republic. The whole Republic is about how to have that experience because it's beneficial. It's necessary as the model of justice, of truth. But it's still being used as an adjective. It's goodness. It's your greatest good. But what's the principle that allows you to say that experience of being is good and that shadow in belief is bad? In other words, what's the noun? What's the standard? The self. So we can call the self, the true self as the standard of truth and false, the one self as the standard of oneness and division, and the good self, the standard for goodness and badness. Allowing those two things we said, problems to be solvable and excellence to be reached. So those two things we take axiomatically, now we can see the principle for the axioms. So therefore we can say it's the self, therefore, is the axiom for all axioms. Oh, what color? This one. The axiom, or the principle behind axioms. The axiom, what's the axiom here? Excellence is reachable through self-logos. Zoom in a little bit. Yeah. Through self-logos, which we now see involves reading, involves analogy, and involves dialectic. So we'll put those in on the board just for extra. Why not? Extra wisdom for no extra cost. For free.
Everybody should love sluts. I love sluts.
Okay, we all should love sluts. Agree, Emma?
Spit on me.
Oh, Emma.
Some goons and some gooners and some weirdos.
You're being such a goony weirdo, Emma.
Goon, 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 goon.
Goon, 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 goon.
Off the perky, call me Kirky.
You're off the perky, call you Kirky. So we saw that involves what color? This one? Yes. So that involves the reading that we do here, capital R reading of these texts. The analogies that we make. Oh, reading and reflecting. Writing on the board in the way we've been doing. Not just reading it and putting it away, but also applying the analogies to bring the text together, analogy, and find the missing parts, and the dialectic. The power, the ultimate power and purpose and highest functioning of the logos. So that's the axiom here. On this side of the... By the way, see how all human nature is expressed within the two aspects of the dialectic? The dialectic is the pattern of reality. It's the pattern of the logos. Logos is the rational nature of reality. And the self, which is why we have to go through this. To see the rational nature and patterns of reality, to find the inherent logos of the self, the inherent knowability of yourself, even if there's no qualities. That's the big puzzle. How can something with no qualities be inherently rational? And therefore the source of pure reason and intelligence and its manifestation or creation of the physical world. So we need that axiom. Axiom 1. We'll call it. Yeah. We have axiom 2 we need for the game, which is problems, human, or just say problems. Problems. Zoom in a little bit. Here's a drop.
I have known people who go to therapy, but they don't actually want to grow and improve and change as people. They just use all the therapy speak to help, like, continue being a shitty person.
Right? So what does that mean? People who do philosophy in the modern sense or the academic sense to learn all these terms so they can better defend their beliefs as a shitty person. That's debate.
Debate pervert.
So what we have to recognize is this axiom that problems are solvable in the pathologos, or as. So the inherent rationality of problems is the pathologos, the root fundamental false belief about self and reality that's unsuspected and the cause of all of our problems individually and therefore also collectively when those people gain power. As the pathologos, the pathologos. So what we are wondering about right now is what's the equivalent to reading and reflecting an analogy and dialectic? That's our question we're on right now. How do we get rid of our problems along the way? So what do we see? For these two axioms that we have to trust to play the game, and turn out to be true, well, I mean, only you can experience that. You will only know you will only be able to show that these axioms were worth trusting to play the game. But let me give you a quick example of what we mean by trust. In order to play the game of driving a car, you have your stop sign in your driver's manual that you're learning from. It says stop. And you learn that it means stop your car. When you're out in the real world, you see another stop sign that you've never seen before, stop sign 2. And you see, hang on a second, that's equal to that stop sign in my handbook. In other words, stop sign A equals B, stop your car. Term C, stop sign 2, is equal to that first stop sign A. Therefore, this new stop sign that I've never seen before, stop sign 2, means stop my car. So A equals B, stop sign in your book equals stop your car. C equals A, new stop sign equals that one written in your book. Therefore, C equals B, that new stop sign also means stop your car. Things that are equal to the same thing are equal to each other. That's an axiom. That's what we mean by axiom. Are things equal to the same thing equal to each other? How can we prove that? I mean, it seems kind of self-explanatory. It seems kind of self-evident. It seems kind of obvious. But can we ever prove it? In order to get your driving license, and this applies to anything that you learn, you take for granted this axiom. And if you don't, you can't play, you can't drive. When we think about, hey, isn't it kind of obvious that of course problems would be solvable? For us, who've been reflecting in this way, for us, of course it is. What kind of a cruel fucking sadistic universe would this be that you couldn't solve problems? By the way, have you solved problems before? Are our highest goals reachable? Well, the sadist believers who want to oppress us will tell you it's not, but that's not true. Of course you can reach your... Many people have reached enlightenment. Socrates, the author of this book that we're reading. Obviously. Is it obvious that if you don't take these axioms, problems are solvable, excellence is reachable as true, you can't play the human game? You'll be stuck as a slave to some fucking sadist psychopath who wants to enslave you through your beliefs? Obviously, those are the two choices. Enslaved by the tyranny of some fuckhead's beliefs, or do your job in solving your problems, reaching your excellence, fulfilling your purpose, both here and beyond this lifetime. Obviously, if we have those two choices, enslavement by false beliefs or the lie, or reaching the truth, freedom to be and to know and show the self, obviously we're here for that second thing. Option B. So it seems obvious, but can you prove it? Can you prove these axioms? Well, I can't prove those axioms, but they're necessary to play the game. But here's the difference about philosophy. True philosophy, philodianoia, love of understanding. That axiom you have to take for granted to drive your car and get your license. You can't prove that within the scope of driving school or within the physical world at all. That's why physical science never gets to proofs, just likely theories that they piece together by tinkering with the parts. Here's the difference. We've already seen for there to be false and true, there is a fundamental standard called the self. That's the goal of philosophy. You get there. That's the point. That's the goal of all intelligent life. That's the point. We've already seen for there to be division and oneness within our soul, within our relationships, within our society, within our galaxy. There's a principle called the one. Oh, that's the other way of describing the self, meaning it's understandable and reachable. That's the purpose. For there to be badness and goodness, there has to be a standard of the good. Oh, that's the good self. In order to know, to reach and know and show the self, learn about and know and show, we want to function from the self, be ourselves in our highest way. All that we've learned about the dialectic to reach there, we can now function through. The Pope doesn't want to make everyone a Pope. That's why it's oppressive. Forced hierarchical structures of fucking oppression through belief. But that's not the game we're in. We're in the good game. We want everyone to be a philosopher. That's the game open to everyone. Know and show the self. You won't be able to know the self unless you address Axiom 2, removing your false idea of the self. You won't know the self unless you address Axiom 1, fulfill Axiom 1, reach your excellence by mastery of the self-logos. To master the self-logos so you can recognize it in the self and reach the self, and get rid of your blocks by removing your pathologos, and therefore, what makes philosophy different from driving school and any other subject or knowledge that exists is you can prove the axioms by reaching and understanding the axiom of axioms, the standard for all axioms. All axioms are about what's true, what's one, or what's good in some way. What's true about the driving test, what's good for how to not crash your car. They're all diminishments of this axiom of all axioms, standard of all standards, principle of all principles. The difference is, you'll only be able to prove by reaching it, which is of course our purpose. That's what makes all the difference. Hooray.
They're secretly turned on by it.
And you can be secretly turned on by it in their good relationship.
The T-Virus will transform me into an epic creation.
And you will be transformed into the most epic of all creations. Hang on a second, we're missing an axiom, aren't we? We have axiom 1 of the true. Truth is reachable through the logos. The axiom 2 of what's false. False is solvable through the pathologos. But there's 3 axioms. You have a guide for both in your dreams. Dream analysis involves 2 aspects. Not just wondering about the dream, but also the dreamer. We're not just wondering about the dialectic, we're wondering, as we read this book, we're wondering about Joseph the dialectician. We're not just wondering about this goddamn masterpiece, top 10 greatest book ever written, we're wondering about the author, Dr. Grimes, the master of philosophy and all other titles. He's got a Buddhist guru title as well, but we wonder about his mind to be able to write such a goddamn masterpiece that has allowed us to figure out the meaning of life. And do it. Test it. Ultimately, potentially to reach the axiom of axioms and no longer having to trust in anything. if you know the self. So too with dreams. If dreams sends us messages about both the logos and pathologos, what must that say about Axiom 3? Axiom 3, our dreams. The third axiom we have to play to not to drive the car, but to engage in the human purpose, our human function, purpose, meaning of life. Axiom 3, dreams / our dream maker. Which can function for both. That functions through both functions with and through both other axioms. What does it say about a dream maker, given what we've seen here? So, fundamentally, any beliefs, especially of your kakodemon, about yourself, mind, or reality, self, mind, or your functioning, your understanding, 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
Which says that your mind, or your functioning, your understanding is false, is bad, is the cause of problems. You're a burden on the family, is false. Not just false, but is the false. The definition of false. Not just bad, but the definition of bad. Not just divisive, but the definition of division. Why? Because the definition of truth is the goodness of mind, self, and understanding. The oneness of mind, self, and understanding. That's the definition of the truth. Never listen to it. Don't ignore it. Take down those notes. So how do we free ourselves from that kaka-daemon voice and become more attuned to the u-daemon, good daemon, the voice of the self? Those pair of daemons we have access to. How do we silence one because it's fulfilled its purpose? Well, just as we have reading and reflecting to get the analogy and dialectic from the logos, where's our material for our dialectic on our pathologos? Here. These things. But notice, these are not true, they are false. So what do we do with them? Just like beliefs are not true, they're the cause of injustice and division and horrors in the world. You're not supposed to take them literally, you're supposed to solve their puzzle. This one?
The problem is that you can't reason someone out.
You actually have to address the systemic inequalities. The people who believe that there should be hierarchies and that they should be above other people, that should just be addressed rather than just trying to segregate shit. Whoa, crazy.
Whoa, crazy. You don't just listen to that cause of problems, you address its cause. You don't segregate yourself, your mind, or your understanding from what's true and meaningful. So how do we do that? That's analogy. Once again, analogy. That is, if we know it's not literal, we have to therefore move anagogically from the particulars to their meaning. What higher, more profound ideas about self, mind, and understanding are they reflecting? About what's false that you haven't seen as false and still believe as true. That's the purpose. So too with dreams. Your dream about kissing a dragon while your third grade school teacher claps isn't literally true, but it's your third grade teacher. It's your love of dragons. It's your fear of being seen kissing in public. It's significantly relevant to your problems or yourself. We only get the messages of the book when we go into analogy and dialectic. So too, we only get the meaning from our dreams and our kakadaemon by the anagogic use of analogy, from the false to what the message is about what's true, or so we can purify the false. But we need one more step, the dialectic. We got the terms, we know what we want to do, use analogy on them somehow, but what's the method? How do we make that anagogic analogical movement from the particulars to the meaning, from the literal to the ideas? That's where we are right now in our reflection. So far we have discovered it's not just one dialectic. There seems to be a dialectic of each of the four terms. So it's a big dialectic. Big dialectic. You got a big dialectic, people will say. And the girls will go, ooh, you got such a big dialectic. Each of the four terms of the dialectic you can recognize has a dialectic within it. And the girls will say,
Jester goon maxed.
that you're goon maxed.
That one's perfect and exactly the case.
They will. And even the boys will say
This is why I love this channel, man.
that they love your channel. And by channel, they'll mean your big dialectic.
Why do you need 50 bananas? So many bananas.
That is so many. 50 is so many bananas. And they'll think you have 50 bananas in your pants because of your dialectic being so big. That's so many bananas. Bananas. Isn't it fun? The way that bananas is said. Bananas. That's so many bananas. That's funny to me. Bananas. I say it. Bananas. Okay. So many bananas. So I'm going to take a quick break to get a drink. And then we will... Actually, before I have a break, what we've done so far is we've seen we won't be able to solve our problem unless we define the problem. How do we define the problem? Well, let's use a dream, let's say. Where's the puzzle in the dream? So definition of the definition. You start with a question. Why? Because
You're not going to magically force someone to want to get better. You have to come to that conclusion yourself.
You have to want to get better.
you have to want to get better. You're not going to be able to listen to the dream unless you find a puzzle that motivates you to become curious about your dream. What's the puzzle in the dream? What makes you puzzled? What stands out that doesn't fit? What's the turning point? Is there a key idea that repeats? There are many things to get puzzled about. Any of those work? Relative to that puzzle, how is it puzzle demonstrating itself in the drama of the dream? It's like a little movie that you're in. You're Tom Cruise. What's your states of mind? What are the... In that puzzle, from that state of mind, what words do you use? What thoughts do you have? Therefore, what actions, what words, thoughts, actions do you have? Therefore, what role do you play within the drama? That's the functioning in its divisions, demonstration to division. And you can even map out that drama on this little graph here. You got a goal, you have ups and downs in your positive and negative states of mind that you can map out to reach a success or a failure. Now we're looking at the pathologo, so we're specifically looking for a failure here. Now, that's we can see, hang on a second, there is a key idea that I hadn't seen before that leads to my failure. Therefore, that synthesis of that key idea leading to a failure, that synthesis analysis is taking that conclusion back to the start. Synthesis and analysis, the two aspects of the conclusion phase. You need a synthesis to get the other, and then you apply it back to the self, other back to self. The failure plus the original definition turns your puzzle question into a problem question, demonstrating the idea that this is learning. You started with a definition, a puzzle, you go through the dialectic, and you end up back at that definition again, but a new definition. You've upgraded, you've leveled up.
We definitely are not born with
No. Level up.
The T-virus transformed me into an epic creation.
You've been transformed into an epic creation like the T-virus. So, there's our dialectic use of logos. This is our turning back upon ourselves, ousia, and there's our upward movement or anagogic movement. It's a win-win-win.
It's a win-win. Win-win-win-win-win.
Win-win-win-win-win. So the idea of hypoxis, now you've the top of that first level begins the bottom of the next. That's the idea of hypoxis. This new definition becomes the new definition of the next stage in your reflection on your dreams. That problem question. Remember, it has to be meaningful. You have to want to care.
You're not going to magically force someone to want to get better.
You have to come to that conclusion yourself. You have to want to get better.
That's what the role of the question is. Not just truth, it's humanness. Humans need a motivation to do it. That problem, by the way, we've seen that this is midwifery. It's not just questions, but a question that you can carry and stay attached to and develop and nurture. Hey, that question's going to be stuck in your soul even more, not just a puzzle about a dream you had, but a problem that you saw in the dream. That's more significant. How do we make it more significant? See how that problem was communicated to you for a reason. It's not just a problem in a dream, it's a problem that demonstrates, next stage, demonstration, itself in your present. Can you see how this problem in your dream functions in your present? What happened yesterday? What happened this week? What happened recently? Are you in it in your present? Demonstration. Hey, now the question is even more stuck. So every stage of this is heightened, holding on to a question and also insight into your own life existence. Up until now, you haven't seen that your dreams are intelligible and meaningful. Up until now, you might not have seen you've had this problem. And then the next stage, you see it in your present. Now you're reflecting on yourself in a higher way. Not only is it a problem, it's a problem I'm in right now. So every stage of this is a hierarchical, the true hierarchical stage of psychic development, spiritual growth, stages of enlightenment. And each one of them is ousia. To reflect on, those are the two things that make us different than cabbages, caterpillars, and cows. We have the capacity for ousia and logos. That's the X and Y button on the gamepad of being a human being. By the way, wouldn't it even be a higher insight and reflection upon yourself to see and your life, to see how this present problem has played a role through your whole past? Over and over, cyclically. What's that? The fake ousia. Because you're not doing this ousia that we just defined in the dialectic, going up and up and up. There's no anagogic movement. If you've got a problem that you're repeating, you are stuck in it. The ousia is fake, sick ousia. What are the two buttons? Ousia and logos. If you're in a sick ousia, you must have a sick logos. What's the definition of sick logos? Pathologos. What's the root cause of your sick ousia? Pathologos. What do we have to discover, uncover, discover, understand to free ourselves from our problems? The pathologos. Therefore, the axiom, problems are solvable through the pathologos, now we can see why it has to be the case. Beautifully. See how beautiful it came together? Necessarily the case. We are coming to understand the necessity and beauty of this axiom that we had to trust to begin the game. What's the beauty in it? Oh, wow. The beauty is the symmetry. Just as our psychic development of ousia is through this dialectic power of the logos, beautifully on the other side of the game, our human problems are simply defined as a stagnant ousia. And once again, analogy allows us to see that beauty. And if the standards of truth is to see the, as we saw in our arguments earlier from the text, the beauty, the necessity and the beauty of something, we can demonstrate it through analogy. So, analogy has that principle of principle greater and lesser. So the principle is to the greater is to the lesser, which we saw with our lesser example, the lesser example of that, as the shepherd is to the king in ruling his people, so too the principle of the philosopher or philodianoia ruling our soul. That's the ultimate. That's our purpose. Or the greater example of that yep. What do we see? The lesser is belief from the world of becoming, or the physical world, because of our badness, division, and falseness. The greater is understanding in the realm of being, and the ultimate is the fact that we can come to know and show self. That's the principle. That's the standard. That's the axiom of all axioms. Or the highest expression of analogy. So this is where analogy itself comes from. This thing we've been using to reach our excellence and solve problems has a principle that allows it to exist. We've been using analogy to turn it into dialectic in the higher. Now our question is, how does it apply to the lesser problems? Looked at anger yesterday, where it comes from, the principle of anger. So what? So this principle to greater is to lesser, that's the axiom. That's the principle of axioms. But we've seen in the greater, we've got, what color? Purple. In terms of our greater, we've got our excellence or enlightenment are developments of ousia, like this, the evolving and the anagogic. Anagogic, upward moving. Anagogic cycles of ousia through the logos, which we participate in through the dialectic. So there's the greater. Or rather, what we can do is this. Take every one of these terms and arrange them this way. Let's have another drop while I move things around.
Where's the joy? The problem is that you can't reason someone out of a position that they didn't reason themselves into.
You have to do this instead. That's the game.
We definitely are not born with a starter kit of beliefs, buddy. Religion is shoved into children's brains forcibly through indoctrination, and if it's any kind of fundamentalism, it's essentially child abuse.
Close. The word fundamentalism is playing a role to save his own personal beliefs. Not my beliefs. Only the wackos that I call fundamentalists. But pretty good, pretty good. So here we can see, as within the greater, excellence is to enlightenment, is to the Anagogic Movement, is to ousia, is to the Logos. See? There's all these different terms that have a relationship. But the beauty is we can learn about them as humans evolving because we have a reason to evolve. We hate injustice. We hate ugliness. We seek justice. We seek beauty. And that's what propels us forward. That's the reason behind human injustice or the existence of belief. The beauty of it we can see if we put it into the symmetry, into the analogy. We can see the symmetry by putting it into the analogy. Excellence is to what? Sickness. Again, you could find your own terms so long as they apply, or from the text. Sickness. Enlightenment is to... What's our fake enlightenment? Indoctrination? Into the family belief? What's the different from the Anagogic Movement? Oh, that's the stagnant. Stagnant. The pool of piss at the, they're not in the Olympic pool, they're in the children's pool full of piss. Stagnant. The reflecting pool, it's stagnant, it's getting bacteria. At the time of recording, believers, MAGA, conservatives, human sickness in the political sphere, conservatives, stole millions and millions of dollars from the American people to pay to one of Trump's mob boss friends, corrupt friends, felons, to fix the reflecting pool, and it's just a stagnant swamp. So a very apt analogy of what we're talking about. Ousia well, that would be the stagnant ousia, wouldn't it? Anagogic movement, or opposite of upward moving, downward. Downward. The logos, pathologos. And the dialectic, so the logos is to the dialectic in terms of its structure is to its use. The pathologos, how do we use the pathologos? Never listen to it, never put it in government, never put it in charge of religions. You listen, you make use of it through philosophical midwifery, which is what we're learning to do right here. Which means, so we saw, this is the intelligibility, or the rationality behind our problems is to its use. How do we, the power of it or its use? That's the principle. See the beauty? Human excellence is to... Now, so that's the first thing. Analogy gives us a way of ordering the terms. That's the number one. Number two, it gives us a way of reflecting. There's our logos and ousia. Ousia means reflection. So now we can reflect on it and see if there are any missing parts. Like, let's get rid of sickness and say problems. That's better. Now, I'm not punishing myself for not getting it perfect. I don't even give two shits that I'm actually happy that I saw that I missed the mark. So no punishment, no blame, no shame. That's only belief-based ignorance. We have to be okay with missing the mark and okay with having missing terms. As excellence is to our problems, so to enlightenment is to our initiation into our family beliefs, indoctrination. Anagogic movement, our movement or development, well, not development, movement, is to the downward movement, our spiraling down. Ousia is to our stagnant ousia. So notice, we can collect a bunch of terms. We can also see the missing parts. These are the puzzles that I'm not going to do. You can do. Have some fun. What would you put in there? Do it. Have fun. Write it down somewhere. I've done enough work. You do some work. Play too. Right, Emma?
I'm cute. Like, it's cutie pie.
Yes, and you'll be even more cute because beauty and intelligence makes you even more cute.
If you don't know, now you know.
And now you know.
I'm eating the testicles of this bull,
Oh,
and I'm eating it raw.
testicles. Okay, but also, if you want, I don't know. I don't know what to say to that.
They're a weirdo.
Well, you said it, not me.
They're completely lying to you. They're
Completely lying. So, what else can we see? Beauty. There's the inherent beauty. By linking this together with analogy, we can see the necessity. The necessity, if there is, for there to be any sort of unfoldment, there has to be a greater creator and a lesser creation for anything to exist. For there to be creation or unfolding, there has to be the principle that allows it. Therefore, the root principles of analogy are necessary in reality, for any reality. Also, we see how that shows the necessity of problems. It's the lesser diminishment of the realm of the greater. As being or mind is to the physical world or becoming, so to the lesser to the greater, so to excellence to problems, so to enlightenment to indoctrination to family beliefs, so to anagogic to downward spiraling, so to ousia to being stagnant, logos to pathologos, the dialectic to midwifery. And what have we just seen? We're engaging in the greater. We are using the logos through the let's use red here. We are using logos through what we're learning about the dialectic to participate in our anagogic movement to reach enlightenment. That's this on the board. It's what we're doing. We are going through stages of enlightenment by using the demonstration def dem div conc. So we're using the dialectic, which is the power of the logos, to reach different stages of enlightenment, and each stage of enlightenment is defined as ousia, a deeper reflection on self, your life, and reality. And we see this nature of the ousia here is anagogic. What color? This one. This return to a higher new definition. That's what we've learnt today, that special word, anagogic. In doing so, we saw our problem that we are learning to understand, the human problem, playing out in our present, but also has a role in our past, meaning we have been stuck in repeating cycles of the same definition. We defined, remember, see how we defined the aspects of our problem? We can use that definition in our demonstration dialectic to see how it's demonstrating as a problem in our present through our past, meaning we've learnt to understand the nature of human problems is a stagnant, stuck ousia. The opposite of what we're doing now, enlightenment, the anagogic ousia. Therefore, we can see down here, enlightenment is, oh, now we can fill in this question mark. What would we say? Enlightenment, no, you do it. I'm not going to do it. I'll give you something to do. Enlightenment is what? Defined by ousia? Judged by ousia? Your evolution is stages of ousia? Your graduating levels? What would you put? Because the stages of enlightenment we see are defined by ousia. And we got them by doing the logos through the dialectic. And we saw that just as enlightenment is defined by ousia, our problems are defined by that repeating cycle that we've been stuck in our present, in our past, in our dreams, in our problems, in our tangents and fantasies. The nature of human problems is a stagnant ousia. Why? Because we have an X and Y button we can press on the gamepad of being a human being. There's our gamepad. Oh, not really nice. Let's do it this way. More like this here, and then this here, and then this here. And this here, and this here, and this here. There's our X and Y buttons. ousia and logos. As we do A and B activities, A, crushing the turts, stomping the turts in Mario Brothers, and then B, rescuing the princess. So, there's our turtle that we stomp. And saving the princess. You give her a big kiss. He's got a crown. There we go. Or removing our pathologos and mastering the self logos. Why are we calling it self logos? Oh, because didn't we see that the underlying intelligible principle, the axiom of all axioms, is the self? So we can go back and say, hey, The true self, the one self, the good self. This is all to learn about the self and know the self. Therefore, ultimately, to know the self has to be through the logos. To show the self has to be functioning through the logos or dialectic. Therefore, to know the logos self. For the one, the true, and the good to be axiomatic, you first need the logos. That means that these are the inherent aspects or the intelligibility of self. For you to know the self as the axiom for true, the axiom of one, the axiom of good, means primarily the higher term is the logos self. These would be the aspects that are all different. I mean, it's one, so they're not different, but in a different kind of a way, they're different. Aspects that are inherent of self. In other words, this is
Bull testicles. Bull testicles.
Bull testicles. To know and show the self, therefore, needs the self logos, and that self logos is to see that the self that you are returning to, which is beyond experience, which is the sight, or sight seeing itself as sight, or awareness aware of itself as pure awareness, as the axiom for everything that follows, true, one, and good. That's to recognize awareness itself as the true, the one, and the good, is to recognize the inherent logos of the self. That's what it's all for. The beauty of A and B, stomping the turts and saving the princess, the two things we have to do here, or defeat Bowser, if you want, perchance, is to see the necessity of this physical world of belief and problems, but also the beauty. The beauty is expressed in the analogy. Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it cool that there are two things, X and Y? And within our problems, the X is pathologos, or stagnant ousia, and pathologos damn it. On the gamepad. Oh, that's yuck. And down here, the X and Y button is expressed as anagogic ousia and the self logos. So, same. Isn't that beautiful? Is there a symmetry there? Is that beautiful? We can depict it with images as we're doing, but we can also, which is a kind of an analogy on our game pads. Ugh. But we can also see it in its terms, so as images and as terms. What did we just discover? as our enlightenment or excellence is to participate in anagogic ousia through the self-logos, the dialectic we're doing, so too, human problems is nothing other than its imitation, its shadow. Imitation, belief. So problems are not a lack of excellence, it's the imitation, it's the shadow. Vice is the imitation or shadow or distorted reflection of virtue. That's the key. It's not heaven and hell, God and the devil and their opposites. That's garbage. That's ignorance. Abrahamic bullshit. It's diminished reflections into levels of reality from the self. It's the self looking at itself in the mirror, and that mirrored reflection looks at itself in a crazy mirror at some circus and thinks that's real. That's more accurate. So let's move this down out of the way a little bit. So we're discovering, hey, I'm stuck in a stagnant ousia. And by the way, if there's a stagnant ousia, there must be a pathologos. If ousia is to logos, is to enlightenment, then my stagnant ousia, my problem, that must have at its cause a root unsuspected pathologos belief about self, must itself have a spiritual initiation, only the distorted reflection of it. That's the next step. So a problem expresses in the present. Get a different color. Get some red.
I'm so unsettled. I am so unsettled.
Emma is so unsettled by me not using that different color.
Die mad about it, bitch.
But she'll have to die mad about it, bitch. Oh my goodness, calm down, you two. Our problem question expresses in the present, keeps us stuck in that stagnant ousia, reflecting through the imitation of ousia, the shadow of ousia, stagnant ousia through our past. But the beauty of it, as stagnant ousia is to the pathologos, is to indoctrination into the family clan, as ousia is to logos, is to enlightenment. Meaning, as we trace it through our past in our guided dialectic reflection, that's philosophical midwifery or dream analysis, same thing. We will see that the synthesis, the idea, so what's division? You see it expressed in many ways. For us here, it's many ways through your past. The synthesis is to what's the key idea or a repeating idea or the most causal idea. The cause of your problems, synthesis, the origin scene, the fake initiation scene. What's analysis? You take that origin scene back to for your actual anagogic development. The definition we started with was a problem. We go through that dialectic pattern, and then we end up back with the problem plus the origin scene. It's not just a problem. We see that we are in a dharma. The problem we are in has a fake initiation scene, passing on the fake teaching. The dharma is the spiritual teaching about self and reality. We're in a fake one. We've been conned, and therefore conned in a fake initiation, a fake enlightenment. Add that in there as well, why not? Yeah. Right. We have been conned into a fake enlightenment This is why it's so good to go back and forth between dialectic and analogy in enlightenment. Because we saw, by doing the mega analogy, fake enlightenment. So we can bring that back in, just as we changed sickness to problems up here. So the analysis, the conclusion of this demonstration of the puzzle is we've seen that we are conned into a fake enlightenment which keeps us trapped in fate. So while that problem that we started with expresses in the present, plays out through the past, and traps you into a future not of true enlightenment, but fate, the stagnant ousia. Your fate, trapped in a fate for the future, which is the stagnant ousia. Stagnant, fake ousia. So the nature of human problems is fake initiation scene, a fake Dharma passing, a fake enlightenment moment. To be trapped in your fate, fake ousia, stagnant fake ousia. It's all fake. That's belief, isn't it? Imitation, faking it till you're making it, or faking it and then never making it because there's no development of understanding and practice and development. Stagnant in ousia. It's all relative. It's all relative celebrates this chant of our age. Everything is relative. It's my truth. It's my perspective. It's just as true. The Republicans' idea for economics are just as true as the Jews are just as true as the non-Jews, as the atheists or the philosophers. Bullshit. The Christians are just as true as the Protestants, are just as true as the Jews, are just as true as the... Really? It's just their truth. That is the celebration of the bootlicking of all human problems, which is essentially fake, stagnant ousia. Therefore, that problem initiation Dharma scene, the fake question, or our fate, or our fate is different. Our stagnant fake self-reflection, fake ousia, fate is our new question. What color? Yellow. There's our new question that begins our new definition. All of this Dharma, problem initiation, Dharma scene, stagnant fake ousia, all of this is the origin scene of the pathologos. That question about what really happened in the origin scene of our pathologos, that's the question we're on. In other words, we've gone from the definition, different color.
Off the perky, call me Kirky.
I'm way off the perky.
Do a poggers.
Definition of our problem in this dialectic, how it demonstrates in your present, past, and future. And now the divisions we are exploring. What made it believable? What were the aspects in that origin scene? What were its divisions? So we started with a definition, the origin scene. Then we move into what were they really demonstrating in that scene? Then there would be the divisions, then a conclusion. That conclusion would be that anagogic ousia, leading to the conclusion stage. What would we need to conclude, and how will we need to conclude to free ourselves from our problem? We saw, by the way, yesterday we looked at the root cause of all anger. A projection or interpretation, which is the functioning of your belief of that pathologos problem. Now that you've seen this origin scene, you can see that you have been conned into a fake initiation by people who pretend to know shit they didn't for their own getting off on their own bullshit ignorance. That can piss you off. That's the root cause of all human anger. That's the big, just as we saw, belief is the big lie. So too, that initiation into that belief is the big con. It's the big injustice. To be conned into that big lie, affecting every division or aspect of your life and how you die and your reincarnation. That's the big con. That's the big injustice against self. That's the root cause of anger. Because anger is a response to injustice, and this is the injustice that we suffered. So which, instead of dealing with it, that would require understanding the dialectic midwifery. Instead, those who are not aware of what we do here, what we've been learning, project it, because that's the A button, belief, projection. So we project our problems onto others. What we're projecting, our problem, is the injustice against the self. That will demonstrate in our state of mind as anger, because we are now relating to our very injustice that we projected. So we're pissed. How do we address injustice and the source of our anger? It's to address that injustice and the source of our anger. That's a pretty meaningful goal. We have to be our best in all the different ways which we relate to it. We have to be our best addressing it with our relationships, with our goals, with our play, with our fun, with our reading. What's the way of being that we synthesize, the common way of being in all of these divisions? In other words, what's the model of being our best? The belief and image or false model of excellence, goodness, knowing, and strength comes from that origin scene. So we project the injustice of the origin scene that makes us mad, and to deal with it, we copy that same origin scene and respond to that person the same way our parents or parental surrogates or parental figures responded to us. Therefore, we are doing unto others what was done unto us. For analysis, we are repeating that stagnant problem. We're doing what we are mad about. We're stuck in a self-fulfilling prophecy, projecting the problems, so we're then doing it again. So all we see is that problem. That's the stagnant ousia. All we experience is that same cycle of problem. Stuck. You can't solve it by doing it. You can't fight your way out of violence the same way you can't fuck your way out of celibacy. Wait, does that make sense? Yeah, you can't war yourself into peace. You can't solve the problem by doing the same thing that caused the problem in the first place. So a self-fulfilling prophecy, a self-defensive mechanism, because all you're seeing and all you're relating to is your own bullshit you're projecting. That's the cycle of injustice, the cycle of violence, the cycle of anger, the cycle of ignorance. You become the very fake guru you were angry about the whole time. That fake guru, that's cause of your anger, that we are learning to address just here at this stage of enlightenment, that stage of philosophical midwifery, the stage of ousia. That very thing that we are learning to see, we were doing it the whole time. Therefore, the necessity to go through this process. The very thing, like hurt people, that's kind of idea. Or, therefore we can go back to the start and say, therefore, anger Anger leads to the fake axiom of do unto others that which was done unto you. Can you see the symmetry? Do unto others what was done unto you. Now this is fake symmetry. This is the distortion of beauty. We're looking at the beauty and justice, or beauty and necessity in reality, but we can see problems or belief or ignorance is a kind of fake beauty, just as it's a kind of fake ousia. Fake ousia. Oh, what color? The self-fulfilling prophecy, the self-defense mechanism, the cycle of injustice, violence, and anger is the fake, stagnant. Zoom in a bit. Ousia. So our cycle of injustice that human beings are in is the fake ousia. Just as the axiom behind it isn't the beautiful axiom, but a kind of symmetry. Do unto others what was done unto you. But notice, it's just repeating itself. No one gets better. No one overcomes the family curse like Achilles. It's a distortion of beauty. Why? Because it doesn't lead up. That's why that relationship where you're just engaging in sexual fantasies with your partner doesn't go anywhere. It's fake. It's just getting off. But not just getting off, because there's no neutral ground. You are adding energy into your pathologos. True peak experiences or intimate experiences are not just going around in a circle. It leads to higher and higher peak experiences, love and logos. And each of them in the afterglow you add logos to, so that we can experience them more often, experience them in greater depth, see yourself in them, so you have, it's a greater deal of profundity in those experiences, and you can integrate those experiences. So longer, more frequent, deeper, more profound, and more beneficial. True ousia, true beauty, true love. And here we see in anger as the feeling associated with our problems, our injustice, when not addressed with the logos, is a fake ousia, which has a fake beauty attached to it. And people who get addicted to it, sadists, are loving the imitation of beauty. Whereas we, philodianoias, lovers of understanding, good people, are falling in love with true beauty, which reflects the true ousia, which is anagogic in principle. See? There is a kind of beauty, a kind of rationality, a kind of ousia, a kind of logos or teaching in our problems, but it's all the fake, lesser, distorted version of the real. Seeing that, taking a step out of the particulars to the meaning, yes, your own personal beliefs suck. And they're all stagnant reflections of the higher. But to see beliefs themselves are a lesser version of the greater of understanding, it's raising to that higher perspective of reality as a whole, out of your particular life to life itself, that you can see understanding is to belief as all of those terms we've been collecting, ousia, beauty, harmony, logos or rationality, is to the fake versions. The stagnant ousia, cycle of problems that we just saw. The fake beauty, do unto others as done unto you. A fake rationality behind it that we can see here. A fake idea of love, sadism. Now, when you're in it, it sucks. But what are we doing? Anagogic movement. What's the anagogic movement? The anagogic movement. Oh, what color? This one. The anagogic movement from what's anagogic? The particulars to the universal. The particulars to meaning. From the particulars or your particular life, particulars of your current particular life to what are we looking at? To meaning and the universal. And how do we see them? Principles and axioms. Kind of the same thing. Maybe a slight difference. The application of those principles and the axioms. So we're going from our particular life to the principles of and axioms to see as understanding is to belief. That's so messy. Should we clean it up? So too as ousia. Let's get rid of this. Let's start again. As, zoom in a bit. Hear a drop. My voice has been going on too long.
I'm just thinking about being hot.
Oh my goodness, Emma.
Gooner! No, you're not the one that's mentally unwell. You're brave. You are crossing into new boundaries.
New boundaries by being hot.
Honestly, I feel really inspired.
Oh, good for you.
Finest video of all time. One of the greatest pieces of art ever created.
Well, I couldn't disagree with you there, sir. Oh, hello. As understanding, or the greater, is to belief, so too is there an inherent logos or self-logos that we're after. That's the whole point of the whole game. Is to our pathologos, or to see what it ain't. Pathologos. So too does it have the self-logos have an anagogic or upward moving anagogic ousia to the stuck, stagnant piss pool, reflecting pond swamp, stagnant ousia. So too is there an inherent well, there's a axiom behind it as to the sick anger causing axiom, do unto others as was done unto you. That's justice. Buff them in the head because my dad buffed me, or my rugby player heroes buffed me, or LeBron James, whatever. Maybe buff isn't the right word. By buff, that's like Australian for punch. Fake axiom. Don't want to sound like a gooner.
You can be a gooner.
Well, I can be a gooner.
I'm too pure.
But Emma's too pure.
It makes sense.
And you make sense. I often make sense.
Off the perky, call me Kirky.
I am off the perkies. Okay, call me Kirky. So, self-logos as the pathologos, an anagogic upward moving is to our stuck, stagnant ousia. The axiom is fake, do unto others as what was done unto you. But there is a true beauty that we are seeking, B-A-U-T-Y, in reality. And the fake imitation, in that fake symmetry of that fake axiom and fake rationality, imitation of beauty. Whereas those peak experiences that you can reach with your beloved through this love and logos ideal relationship, spiraling upwards to ultimately peak higher and higher enlightenment experiences, even beyond that, to know and show the self through the mastery of the self logos. Therefore, true love, could have called it one love or good love or self love or logos love, or love and logos, true love, is to sadism. The love of this fake symmetry, doing unto others, this fake cycle of problems. I know how to deal with life. I'm just getting mad before they get mad at me. Hey, fuck you. What do you say that for? Because before you say fuck you at me, don't fuck me, fuck you. Punch. Hey, why'd you punch me for? I'm going to punch you back. Ah, see? I knew I should have got in there first, because you were going to punch me. You did that, you idiot. Ever met someone stuck in a cycle? They project their own problems, cry bullies of the Jews as they do a genocide against the Palestinians. We're the victims. The cry bullies of Trump. Oh, everyone's trying to scam me, as he scams everyone else. Every single conservative ever. Oh, the left are trying to trick you. As they actively kill people and steal people and only ever do harm for the worst, murderous, sadistic, Epstein-class, billionaire, capitalist, religious, conservative people on our planet. Desiring that role, enjoying it, seeking to do unto others, the sadism of do unto others what was done unto oneself. To desire that, tough love, some people call it, that's sadism. The fake imitation of love that tracks people to their sick ousia, to wanting to be the fake guru, to everything on this side. When you're facing someone, a parent, a friend at the gym, I had some fucking crazy person, it's dealt with, but there was some psychopath weirdo at my gym. He's not there anymore, thank God. He was very much in this. Some person in your job, some person you play games at, some person who's suing you because of their own corruption and ignorance. It sucks. But because there's no beauty here. Well, there is. There's a fake shadow. It's only the shadow of virtue. So we can actually add that one in. Therefore, if all of these are the good traits, we could unify them as virtue. These are all the good states of being in reality. Virtue is to vice, the shadow of this. The good people, the good heart and the good head, who are using reason and understanding to understand what is meaningful and address problems with a genuine desire to do goodness. That's virtue. It's the right-wingers, capitalists, religious, slop tubers, alpha bro bullshit, snarkers, hater content creators, the content creators that appeal to the right-wing manosphere bullshit. They are always and only trying to imitate what they can't touch. They want to imitate the good people, while never being able to do it because they are sadistically addicted to their cycle of ignorance and not doing what the good people are doing, surfacing, understanding, and addressing their own unsuspected false beliefs while participating in reason, understanding, empathy, care, development, personal development, addressing the pathologos and mastering the self-logos. Vice is the shadow of virtue, as sadism is the shadow of true love, love and logos. As belief is the shadow of understanding, or as we've been seeing in the text, imitation is to true expertise. And we will only see the beauty of that if we are somehow able to withdraw from the particulars, as we've been practicing with analogy, as we've been practicing with dream analysis and midwifery, withdraw from the particulars, not getting wrapped up in the movie as the main character, with not listening to the cacodemon, believing all the shit it tells you, or someone who's negging you in that kind of a way. Withdraw from that drama. It's boring to me now. It's an old script. If it's an old script and stagnant, if you've understood it, you won't get interested in the movie. Withdraw from those particulars to move to the level of meaning or ideas or principles and axioms. What's the cognitive function that doesn't engage in, well, can be used for particulars, but is to do with axioms and principles? That's dianoia. That's true understanding. In fact, we should call it dianoia, because people use the word understanding to mean something other than what we are talking about here often. Everything we have said here applies to everyone. Any intelligent species, any culture, any history, any group, any galaxy, any multiverse. They are being. So you could even say as being is to becoming, if you wanted to. Well, we're doing another analogy, aren't we? As being is to becoming, so too dianoia is to belief. So too self-logos to pathologos. You could add problems in there. In fact, keep building. All we are doing is adding this to our mega analogy from the text. It's one great big analogy, which makes sense because there are fundamentally A and B goals in the video game of being a human. Crush them turts, or crush those pathologos beliefs, and B, save the princess, do some lovely kissing, there we go. Or the true love, love and logos, master the self-logos. Anagogic uncia and self-logos. Fun? Fun, 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 fun?
Jester goon maxed.
Butt to butt.
Butt to butt, Emma.
Goon, 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 goon. The T-virus will transform me.
I'm just thinking about being hot.
Emma! You're thinking about being hot because the oracle's transformed into an epic creation?
Well, that's not true because I don't think so.
If you're experiencing a mental health episode, we don't want to have to see that.
Okay, no mental health episodes on the stream. So what? So we've seen more about the nature of human problems and how it's a reflection of excellence, or vice is a reflection of virtue. We've seen how there is a necessity for that given the unfoldment of any reality into greater and lesser, and for us as intelligent beings to return, and for us to learn about the self by seeing what it is and what it ain't. These two axioms. And we've seen, therefore, that if our principle of defining what's true is to show on one side of the dialectic the absurdities or division or horrors that follow if the subject is not, to show which is the truth, or On the other side of the dialectic, the universe that follows if the thing is, to show that there's a necessity or justice for it to be the same way, and there's a harmony or beauty. Therefore, our job to be able to free ourselves from our problems is to go through this process of uncovering our specific problems while also making that anagogic movement from our particulars to the universal, to the principle of problems. We need to apply both when we eventually answer our false teachers. Hey, this isn't enlightenment. You're not a guru. Here's what it is, and here's what you're doing. The specifics and how it specifically affected my life and probably yours, but also the principle, but also why it's here to begin with. Now, how much you want to say to that particular person, up to you, but well, we'll get into that later. But for us to free ourselves from our problems, we need to see both the specifics and the universal. So we can apply both in that. And we need to do that anagogic movement, not just in analogies, yes, but also our own physical existence. Is there a way of somehow rising from the particulars of your current particular life to see life as a whole, or your reincarnations as a whole, or all intelligent evolution, the whole of evolution as a whole, and see, therefore, the nature of problems as a symmetrical, harmonious reflection through principle greater lesser of the greater? In other words, is there a beauty and necessity in human problems that you will only reach if you make that anagogic movement with your soul? Which means, in principle, there needs to be a way to move from, let's go back to our original map, to move from, here we go. There needs to be a way to move from our physical world of our physical perceptions and the physical appearance where we get our personal beliefs that are cause of problems, to cross that green line into the realm of being, to see the model of reality, the whole of the universe. That's pure Usia, or the greatest experience of Usia. And what we're seeing is that soul's movement, the hero's journey from the lesser realm of shadows to the greater realm of the gods, or eternity, is also necessary to look back on both principles and see there's a beauty. There is a symmetry. And you will only be able to see that symmetry if you experience it in this way and understand it. Notice, the definition of wisdom isn't just the experience of the whole. That's nous. It's also its understanding. It's Usia and Logos, knowing and understanding. It's the X and Y button. You've got to hit the X and Y button like that and do your special move. In other words, there has to be a way of transcending physical experience, pleasure or pain, to see the whole, and then with everything we've been developing together, use and apply that analogy to it to see there is a fundamental symmetry or beauty. What color? Is there a symmetry or beauty and applying the principle of principle greater and lesser, or ultimate greater and lesser? Is there also a necessity in any creation that unfolds, any CESS, necessity or justice? To be necessity as necessarily, oh my goodness.
It's sad, and I'm sad for you.
Oh my goodness, don't
They're
be sad for
completely
me.
lying to you. That's anti-feminist in some way.
Please end kink shaming on your show.
Conservatives are so stunted that they don't understand these things.
I know, they don't, do they?
What the hell do your goddamned, literally, religious beliefs matter?
Exactly. Is there a symmetry between this or a beauty, and is there a necessity or a justice? Once again, only be seen with the Anagogic Movement. Well, and this, and analogy. Is analogy necessary, therefore, along with that, rising from the particulars to the principles, or being to see the greater? So that experience, peak experience, greater to lesser, as well as that analogy. Therefore, is that experience true? Is this seeing true beauty? Is this what we aim to reach in our intimate or loving experiences with someone with a good heart and good mind, our partner? Or partners? Whatever you like. Is this seeing of the beauty and justice of all reality what all men seek? All humans seek? Do we not stop until we see that there's a justice to be seen? Is this it? Is therefore is this why it's necessary for love and logos? And is that logos expressed through analogy? We're seeing deeper analogy and introducing a keyword, anagogic. Hooray. So, we're bringing all this back to our exploration of our problem to see what needs to be seen, so that we can address that fake origin scene with true ousia and logos to put an end to the fake ousia and pathologos. We need to use this, therefore we have to be reading as well as doing the midwifery. But notice, we've been looking at a particular class of dream to kick off our midwifery. Yes, we can use the clues that we're taking as well. That's good as well. But it's good to kick off with the dream. But we were saying that third axiom is Axiom 1, excellence is reachable through the self-logos. Axiom 2, problems are solvable as the pathologos. But Axiom 3, our dreams and our dream maker allows us to function or functions with or through both of those axioms. So we are just looking at a particular class of dream, the most common, that highlights our pathologos blocks. But there are more than one classes of dreams, more than one class of dream. There is more than one class of dream. Now, we're specifically figuring out this because we want to do this last thing. How do we solve our problems? But it might be worth taking a brief pause next time to address the different classes of belief, because you may be having beliefs that, different classes of dreams, because you may be having dreams that are not problem dreams, but are reminder dreams, or helping you see what you're doing that's good, because the dreams are about both the self-logos and the pathologos. It could be an encouraging dream. It could be a professorial dream. Some dreams can see into your... Where are we at? The dialectic we looked at last time? Are they a reminder about something good happening in your present that you may be overlooking? That's worth acknowledging because you're doing really well, and it's worth seeing how well you're doing and appreciating that, and appreciating the state of mind that you got when you saw it in your dream. Because if you're doing well and you overlook something and your guide is your dreams and your dream maker, it might say, hey, you missed this part. Or, hey, don't forget this. Hey, don't get down on yourself. You're doing really well here. Or here's something you did really well that you need to think about more, because you can build from that. Are they dreams about your past, pathologos dreams, your cycle of problems or your origin scene? Are they dreams about your future, professorial dreams? Are they dreams where you can go beyond, and are they enlightenment dreams? And there's one more class of dreams, giving us a total of 5. Past, present, future, insight, and what? So, most dreams are about our past or pathologos that we're stuck in to help us through this, what we're doing here. Some dreams are about a reminder dream about how well you're doing in the present. Some dreams are professorial about your future. Some dreams are peak states of mind or enlightenment experiences. So you can have those, talk about those peak experiences through psychedelics in the book, through intimate experiences in the true loving relationships, as we talked about right now. As a result of the dialectic, which is the complete. You want to be doing that however you get it, going by car or by walking. But you can also get it in your dreams.
Now we're getting into extreme Jordan Peterson levels of fluency.
Extreme Jordan Peterson.
I'm too pure. Butt to butt.
Butt to butt. Emma.
Damn, you really are a gooner.
Damn, you really are a gooner, Emma. So, 4 different classes of dreams. We did mention 5. But what have we seen? 4? How many categories in the dialectic is there? 1, 2, 3, 4. Past, present, future, insight. For there to be an unfolding of an intelligible logos, what did we see today is necessary? The axiom of all axioms. Therefore, if we experience the unfolding of reality through the dialect of what's true in those peak experiences of mind, what's false in the physical human world of injustice, of beliefs, for there to be a greater to lesser, there has to be a principle or axiom. That's the big thing. 2 big ideas of today: axioms and anagogic movements, and also seeing a lot more about the significance of analogy and how your soul has to participate analogically as you move from the particulars of your negative thoughts to the meaning, as you move from the particulars of your dreams to their meaning. So too, as you can move from the particulars of your physical life reincarnation you're in now to see the whole of reincarnation, the whole of your soul, or the whole of evolution itself, necessary to see the inherent beauty between, of there being problems. Sucks when you're in them, but there might be a purpose and a beauty and a necessity that can only be seen when you move from parts to whole. That movement is the anagogic movement. Therefore, axioms, analogies, and anagogic movement. The 3 A's of today. Hooray!
Jester Goon Maxed.
Jester Goon Maxed today. Also, what's the new sound drop? This one?
Personality maxing requires you to...
No.
You actually have to address the systemic inequalities. The people who believe that there should be hierarchies and that they should be above other people, that should just be addressed rather than just trying to segregate shit. Whoa! Crazy.
Whoa, crazy. That's what we're doing here. Addressing the root false beliefs behind segregation or division or inequality. That's belief. And the root cause and principle of excellence, that's understanding. And beyond that, the root cause of both, the axiom of axioms. We're kicking it today.
Hubba. I just want more testosterone to human body ratio, and I'll finally be satisfied.
You embarrass me so much on this channel, Emma.
Gooners.
It's a goon and a gooner.
Gooner bait.
Just Guna bait, Emma. So embarrassing for me today. So, what do we see? Axioms. The axiom of all axioms. Those other 4 classes of dreams are either about your pathologos and logos. What are they? Pathologos dreams, past. Reminder dreams, doing well in the present. Professorial dreams, predicting the future. Hey, insight dreams, the highest expression of the self-logos and experiences. But for there to be those 4 classes of dreams that allow us to deal with the A and B goals of the video game, crushing the turts, removing problems, Axiom 2, saving the princess, reaching our highest excellence, there has to be a cause. For there to be these 4 categories of dialectic, there has to be some cause. What do we call that? The axiom of axioms, the self-logos. For there to be 4 expressions of dreams that we can see, what must be the 5th kind of dream? Something to wonder about. And maybe next time we can talk a little bit more about those 4 classes. I mean, I guess today was a pretty good summary. It's the same approach. Looking for the puzzle, going through the stages of the dialectic application, using analogy to move anagogically from particulars to universals to meaning. Just a matter of recognizing it. Is it the most common? I think like 80% I've heard are about this, the problem, which requires a longer exploration to originally, well, over time, of course, you see more and more. You don't go through all of these stages in one dream talk. I mean, you can if you're a fucking genius, but and really, really open and curious and amazing. But normally, you slowly move through these divisions over time, over many coffees or many talks. So, is it about this, or is it a reminder dream of how you're doing well? Now that could just be a simple reminder, or you could unpack it in greater depth to see specifically more about how to do it. So only one of those dreams you apply analogically, anagogically, and through the dialectic. But maybe we'll talk about it more next time, or maybe we'll leave it here, I'm not sure. But basically, is it this one about your pathologos, the past? Is it a reminder dream? Are you doing well that you didn't recognize? A reminder dream about your present? Hey, pay attention. You're doing really, really well. You're amazing. Think about it more. Reflect on it more. Expand that state of mind more. Expand that seeing more. Is it a prophecy dream about the future? Is it a peak experience dream that, again, you'd want to understand and unpack? And in that reflection and unpacking, you get back into that state of mind and you understand it. Those are the 2 aspects of wisdom, making it the greater yoga, the greatest yoga. Or what's the mysterious 5th category of dream? I don't know. That's a puzzle for us to wonder about. So maybe we'll think more about that next time. Maybe we'll finish this dialectic on solving problems, the mega dialectic, the big dialectic. You got such a big dialectic.
Off the perky, call me Kirky.
So off the perky.
Honestly, I feel really inspired.
Oh, that's great. Well, if Emma's inspired, that's a good time to call it. What do you think, RM?
And she spit on him also.
And she spit on them also. My goodness. What a weird thing to say.
Bait.
That's just Guna bait. My goodness. So, axioms and the axiom of all axioms. Analogy, how it functions in all the different ways. Anagogic, the upward movement from the particulars to the profound and meaningful. The 4 or maybe 5 different classes of dreams. And next time, let's see if we can finish the mega dialectic, the big dialectic on midwifery. Wow, what an ep today. What a banger. I didn't even take a break for more coffee. I hope you had fun. Hope you had found something to be curious about. I hope you find your dreams interesting this evening. And I hope you wonder about how you may approach not only your dreams, but every aspect of your life or your life itself in that anagogic way. Anagogic reflective way. Why? True ousia. See how it affects you. See if it improves your conversations. See if it improves your relationships. Lots to wonder about. Thank you so much for joining me. You can find a link to the text below. You can donate to the channel if you have money, and because I don't, and you can give some to me. That would help. If you like, you can follow on the Discord. You get a notification when we go live. You can join on Twitch and ask questions and follow along. Any questions about where you're at, your self-logos, where you're stuck, your pathologos, what we're talking about, or anything in the book. Those are the sorts of questions we're interested in. Feel free to shoot any of them my way. Of course, the whole series is up on YouTube if you want to go through that from the beginning. It's a fucking banger, worth doing. I thank you once again for joining me. I hope you're having a good time, whatever you're doing, wherever you're going. I hope you are carrying your state of wonder and reflection and love of understanding with you in whatever you're doing. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.